Welcome to the Rebel Matriarch Podcast. My name is Samantha Sanford and I am your host, and I want to invite you into this session with an open heart and an open mind, because this is not just a podcast. It is a global movement, a global uprising, and this is a representation of what is truly possible and available to women today. Hello, gorgeous human beings, and welcome to the Rebel Matriarch Podcast. My name is Samantha Sanford, and I am your host. And I have a delightful, beautiful guest today. I had to stop giggling before I pressed record because she's an absolute joy and she brings such beautiful energy. And I really want to set a precedent for this conversation because it is a really important conversation. And I know it's also going to be light, but also deep and important. And every woman needs to know what's about to be discussed. And so I really want to encourage you to lean in and just open up and be open to receiving what Anna has to say. So Anna is the wellness architect, and she is 100 million billion% here for women, and she's here for women's health, and she really understands the importance of it. And Anna, I believe that you mentioned that you were accepted into medical school, and for reasons which I'm excited to discover, you decided to actually walk away from that opportunity. Is that right?
Hello, gorgeous. Yes, I did. It's so right. And it was the best decision I've ever made. I was planning to become a medical doctor ever since I was young, probably around 5 years old. And I walked away. And it was the scariest and the hardest thing I'd ever done, but also it felt right. It just didn't make logical sense, but it made intuitive sense.
Yeah, intuition isn't really a big part of the medical system, is it?
No,
No.
it's always logic and the mind-based cognition.
Yes, there's also a lot of faulted logic in the medical system. Yes.
Absolutely. There's so much. And I learned that, especially working in different labs and research institutions and seeing the data is not always what it appears, what it's portrayed to be.
See, this is why I'm really excited for this conversation, because ever since COVID came about, my husband and I were both like, wait a minute, what? And we went down many, many rabbit holes, and it's
Oh,
completely
yeah.
changed how we perceive the medical system, how we perceive the government, and just how we perceive how everything's presented to us. And so we've gone on a really interesting journey, and it's really nice to have honest conversations with people who have both perspectives, right? And you've got what's the word that I'm looking for? You're backed. Do you know what I mean? You're not just some, conspiracy theorist that's gone down rabbit holes like me. You've actually you've actually got something to back everything that you're saying.
Absolutely. Well, and you want to go down this rabbit hole, we can, but the word conspiracy, if you look at it and you break it up, it's con spiritu, like with spirit, with God. Like the conspiracy is truth. It's not false facts. It's not false information. There is such truth in it, but it's created so much stigma and so much agitation in people that anytime they hear, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, they've been conditioned to just write it off and not think about it. And that's because the education system and the medical system, everything's interconnected, the Rockefellers and how big pharma came to be and all of these things. It's like we were conditioned and programmed and taught what to think, but not how to think. So I love that you took responsibility for your own learning and understanding and began to discover the truth because it's there and it's there in plain sight. But we have been conditioned to find belonging and conform into that sense of sameness to avoid being outcast.
I get like full body tingles because it's almost like a full circle moment for me, because like in the thick of it, especially at the beginning of COVID, and we start having these conversations and we start talking with family and friends and sharing what we're discovering as a way to, discuss options and possibilities and, hey, like, should we really be injecting this stuff into us? And like, can we talk about it? This is what we've been finding. And there was so much anger and pushback and resistance, and people were saying awful things, and family and friends were like attacking and just being like, what do you mean you're being ridiculous, or you're becoming a threat. And it's just like, wait a minute, what? And so I know for a lot of people that questioned everything and really stood their ground, they had to withstand a lot of resistance and a lot of unnecessary cruelty. And so
Mhm.
when someone like yourself comes in and you're like, well, actually, like, let's actually break this down and look at this logically and also practically and also with the facts and the data to back it up. It's like a full circle moment of, the last 6 years or 7 years has been a lot, a lot.
Yeah.
So thank you.
It's been a lot, of course. And it's like, we'll be called extreme, we'll be called radical, but it's like, we're just finding out the truth and we're leading the way. And we've seen and understood things that others have yet to see and understand. And it's different than their way. And because we've become so normalized to one standard, normalized condition, anything that deviates from that garners this reaction of, that's extreme. Why would you ever do that? And that is so related to health. And it's like, we've been so distracted from the truth and from our power within us and the body.
Yeah, exactly. That's why these conversations are so important. And so women can understand, because most of us don't know who Anna Finck is, who is the wellness architect,
Yeah.
like, what is it that you're focusing on now, or what is your soul-led mission that you're really leaning into at the moment?
So it's so multifaceted, but it really is walking with women on the path to radiance, architecting a foundation of radiant physical health for the soul to fully be embodied and the soul purpose and potential to be lived and fulfilled. And it really is about women reclaiming their power, their autonomy, their leadership, and stepping in to who they're here to be. And we can't fully do that if we're distracted by health symptoms and conditions, if we're feeling disconnected in our bodies, if we're not feeling good in our bodies. It's like our body is the source of our power. And there is a reason that we have these symptoms. And so, as a wellness architect, an architect, and when you're building a home, you have the blueprint, you have building codes, you have all of these different things and elements. Well, with health, it's the same thing. You have a unique body blueprint, and that informs the lifestyle design and the wellness design that we curate for you. And then you have these codes, these symptoms, which are simply codes from the body indicating imbalance. And when you begin to decode the symptoms, you can recode your body for radiance, because in each moment, we are always coding our body. We're either coding the body for radiance, creation, and health, healing, or for survival, reaction, stress, and illness. What are we choosing?
Well, when you put it like that, right? How many of us are walking around, some of us unknowingly, and some of us, we know we're choosing the latter. We know that we're choosing illness, and it feels so overwhelming because there are so many symptoms and we're living really stressful lives. And the way that our society and world is set up, the way that our health system is set up, it's not actually set up for our benefit, and it's not set up to support us. And so for women, so the women who are unaware, right? This is going to be really interesting information. But for the women who are aware and they're hearing you speak and they're like, yes, and also, but like, how? Like, it feels too much.
Totally.
What can you speak to around that? Even just simple ways to start.
Of course. So, one, it's like honor where you are, acknowledge where you are without the shame. And in this, the first thing I want you to know is that you have been conditioned to believe that something might be healthy, but there are so many health trends out there that are hindering our health and disconnecting us from our bodies, leading us away from radiant health. So it's not your fault. Just know that it's not your fault, that you did not manifest your diagnosis, you did not manifest your symptoms or condition, you did not create this. And, we live in a world with these toxic heavy metals, these toxic substances, pollutants, pathogens, different things. So it's not your fault. But when you understand this, we get to reclaim our power, and it's owning that responsibility of, oh, this food codes my body for survival and stress versus this food. So one, it's about simply becoming aware. So the first thing is awareness. And then second is action, and taking that aligned action and knowing that simple, small steps compound over time. And when we ask how, we get into the mind again. And the matrix, the world loves us asking how, because it keeps us in the mind and the thinking rather than in the being and the aligned doing. So what I want you to focus on is who, because how and who have the same letters, yet they're spelled differently. And when we focus on how, we externalize our power. We give our power away, focus on all the remedies or solutions outside of ourselves. But when we focus on who we are, who we're becoming, who are we? Like, what are our values? Who do we aspire to be? Who do we want to become? And what is that lifestyle like? Then we reclaim our power and focus on, okay, well, this version of me, she sleeps 9 hours a night. So I'm going to implement a sleep schedule as an act of devotion. This version of me, she has this glowing skin and feels amazing and vibrant energy. So let's focus on the foundations of wellness: hydration, nutrition, supplementation, sleep, movement. Those are 5 simple, very key foundations. And I can name one thing for each if that would be supportive. And you ladies, women, audience listening, just take what feels resonant and know that when you start doing one thing and you focus in on one area of your life, why I love embodied wellness is that everything is interconnected. Quantum physics, the quantum entanglement, and all of this. So everything is interconnected and impacts everything else. When you focus in on your health and you begin making these subtle, simple shifts in your health, it's these micro shifts that create the macro transformation. We're not going for a complete 360 redesign. We're going for these refinements in what you're already doing, your hydration. Okay, it's one thing to know something, but another thing to do it and embody it. So with embodied wellness, we're seeing wellness as more than a checklist. We're seeing it as rituals, as a way of being and doing, because it's identity led. It's not something you have to think about and force yourself into. And something I talk a lot about too as a wellness architect and lifestyle designer is environment and how we're designing our spaces, because our habitat influences our habits. But I don't want us to focus on superficial habit installation. I want us to focus on environment refinement and identity creation. So when we focus in on the foundations, you're already drinking water. Well, how much water are you drinking? It's recommended that we drink half our body weight in ounces every day. Now, is this water filtered? Is it bottled? Is it tapped? Focus on investing in a quality water filter. That will be huge for you. To enhance your hydration, lemon water. Adding half a lemon to 16 ounces of water in the morning first thing will do wonders for your health, for your adrenals, for your hormones, for energy issues, adrenal fatigue, anything that you're dealing with. That's so foundational because it's focusing on the liver. And the liver for me is the most overlooked and undervalued organ in the body. And when you're healing and you want to create radiant health, it begins with your liver. Anything with hair, skin, and nails, liver. Aging, liver. Weight gain, liver. Heart health, liver. Brain health, liver. Everything comes back to the liver. That's one of the foundations, but that's intimately connected to your adrenals. So lemon water is number 1. For nutrition, incorporating more fruits and vegetables into our lifestyle is key. We've been kind of taught like, oh, avoid sugar, avoid this. And unfortunately, with that whole avoidance of sugar, people begin to avoid fruit. I even did this, believing that, oh, bananas will make me fat. Oh, this will make, it's like sugar is bad, sugar is bad. But fruit is it is the most healing food group on the planet. And introducing more of that and having fruit first, having that for breakfast will do amazing wonders for your energy, for your health in so many ways. Supplementation, taking one. I am a very firm believer in supplementation, but very specific targeted supplementation, depending on the symptoms. But there's one that everyone should be taking, and it's zinc sulfate. That's the most bioavailable, bioabsorbable form of zinc. But it's also going to be bolstering our immune system, neutralizing pathogens, supporting the hair, skin, and nail health, liver, adrenals, brain. So that is foundational, because a lot of these symptoms and conditions that manifest as autoimmune conditions, reproductive health conditions, whatever, menopause, whatever it is, they take root because of a zinc deficiency. And zinc is one of those trace minerals that we can obtain from the food alone because it's due to soil degradation.
Yeah.
It's depleted. Yeah, exactly. And our bodies don't make it on their own. So we need that. Then looking at sleep, really owning and honoring your sleep is so important. And sleep for women is one of the most powerful forms of self-care. The body goes through so much healing and regeneration during sleep. So to honor the sleep window between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. or 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. is so crucial. So if you can be in bed by 10 p.m. at night and sleep straight through that window, you're going to receive more healing and benefits from the sleep than you would if you went to bed from 12 to 10 a.m. if you just went 10 to 5 or 10 to 6. So different there because more isn't always better. We want to focus on the quality and the timing. And there are so many fascinating sleep secrets to enhance the sleep. And then for movement, walking, moving your body, and seeing movement as just a natural extension of who we are, not something, oh, I should do this or I should do that. Because I see a lot of women push themselves at the gym, do something too hard, too heavy, too fast, and then burn themselves out because we're not looking at the adrenal safe way to move and the embodied wellness movement method, which is honoring the liver, honoring our cycles. Women go through approximately 28-day cycle. And it's so important to own that instead of pushing and trying to slog through something that's not feeling good and then causing more burnout because our adrenals produce 80% of our reproductive hormones. And with this, that causes the hormonal imbalance, hair loss and thinning, nail breakage and brittleness, just different symptoms that we've normalized. And so when you start to hone in on your movement and bring in adrenal safe movement, it changes everything because that movement moves the lymphatic system, which is so intimately connected to the liver and will help the liver cleanse and the body heal.
I love it. I love the simplicity of it, although I did have some questions, right?
Please. Yes, of course.
The first one that I get triggered by, and I always get triggered by this because it's like it's just my life at the moment. But sleep is really important.
Okay.
And
Yes.
so for those of us who will never get that quality of sleep for the time being, right? So to go from 10 to 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning would be amazing. However, I have to wake up multiple times, feed babies and
Babies.
attend to children.
Yep.
Yeah. And so for those of us who can't get that quality of sleep, I know that there are possibly other ways to support the sleep factor. If you could share with
Absolutely.
me.
Oh my God, there's so many. High quality melatonin really helps with the sleep. And if you want to eat a little bit of mango or banana before bed to enhance the quality of your sleep, bananas have tryptophan that's really powerful for the brain, the neurons, and regeneration. But there are things you can do, like even when you're up with your babies at night. And I know a lot of women, the sleepless nights and different things that you endure, right? And it's the mother's love that is unwavering. So when you're up with your babe and you're nursing and you're just rocking the baby, just sitting there and close your eyes and set the intention to rest your nerves. Because even when we're awake and we have insomnia or something, like the brain and the body are still getting rest. So we don't want to go into that stress cycle of like, oh my God, I'm not sleeping. This is so bad, because it's not stress that's bad. It's our reaction to it. And stress is this great teacher. So it's really showing us, okay, you're here to rise. It's like the diamond. When there's all this stress and pressure and intensity of heat, what does the carbon do? If it collapses under pressure, it's not the diamond. So what do we do? Like expand under pressure and rise and become the diamond, knowing you're being forged and it's lit forever. Also, I love transcendental meditation. So if you're not getting that full night of sleep in the morning when your baby is with your partner or still asleep, and you get up and you just sit and close your eyes for 10 to 20 minutes and just set the intention again to rest your nerves, but to allow yourself to get rest, because it's been said that 20 minutes sit in transcendental meditation, which is Vedic meditation, you have a mantra and you're just focusing and allowing the body to release stress and rest. That's equivalent to 4 hours sleep rest.
Really?
So meditation is powerful, especially if you're there rocking your baby and you're just up with the baby, but you can close your eyes and be present and be in meditation.
I love this. Is
Yeah.
it still helpful if you do it later on in the day or like whenever you have time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Whenever you can. Yes. Whenever. Yeah.
Oh, there's
It's
some
whatever.
really good
Go
tips.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. Yes, it's your unique body blueprint is so unique to you, and your lifestyle, your values, your human design, all these nuances are so unique to you that it's not this one size fits all. It's understanding why we're doing something and the power of behind it, but then taking this powerful transformational information and healing truth and then adapting it to your lifestyle design is what makes it powerful.
This is very enlightening, but
Um,
also doable. Like, it doesn't feel overwhelming as you're speaking and you're sharing these
God.
suggestions, which I love. It's really about making it accessible to women so that they don't go, oh, it's too hard.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
don't know about anyone else listening in, but I'm going to try the banana thing before going to bed,
And it
and
helps.
I'm going to try accessing or doing that meditation process
Yes.
throughout the day when I can, even if it's
Yes.
10 minutes, because gosh, I could do with a couple of hours, in quote sleep.
Yes. And even in the night or whenever, you can call on the angel of sleep
I
and
can. There's an
ask
angel of
for,
sleep.
yes, there's an angel of sleep. And if you want to go into that spiritual aspect of wellness, right, which is
Yes,
part
please.
of everything, we call on the angel of sleep and we say, okay, it's like envision that white light protecting us and envision yourself just in that safety of that light being rejuvenated and receiving the rest you need, because there's this whole thing around sleep deprivation and sleep debt. And it's like, Anthony William, the medical medium?
Yeah, I do.
In one of his books, he talks about how there's this wellspring of sleep. And for every breath we breathe, we get 2 breaths of sleep. So we have this sleep bank available to us. So to tap in before bed, like even when you're pouring a little water before bed, you can envision this, you're tapping into that wellspring of sleep. And then say, angel of sleep, thank you for a beautiful, deep healing sleep tonight. That's what I say. I thank the angel for the healing sleep. And I've noticed a difference in the quality of my sleep since doing that.
Ooh. I'm going to call the angel in for my kids' sleep as well.
Yes, please, you can.
Yes, let these children sleep, please.
Yes, yes. And something, I don't know what their sleep pattern is, but it could be, they need a little bit of more of that, like a little banana or mango before bed too, to really help their neurotransmitters. If we're dealing with wakefulness during the night, it can be adrenals misfiring. It could be the presence of toxic heavy metals. It can be the liver going through its cleansing, and different things wake us up. So the more we start to fine tune and like, okay, what's going on, and see it as this little experiments, the more we can be like, oh, okay, well, this isn't how this is how it's been, but just because it's how it's been doesn't mean it's going to be permanent, and we can shift it.
This is amazing. So there's so much information out there, right? So even
Yeah.
for me, and I've been in this world, I've been exploring it. I explored medical medium, all of it, and it's
Yep.
really, really overwhelming.
Right.
But I feel like you speak to all of this, a lot of this in all of your content. And so is this, if women are interested in understanding a little bit more and going to one source as opposed to having to research all of them,
Yeah.
is it safe for them to come to your world and explore your website or your socials and just learn bits and pieces as they go?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I know it can feel so overwhelming. And that's why for me, it was like medicine when I was working in hospitals and working with doctors. And as a patient and walking with my mom and being an advocate for her, I felt so unaddressed. I felt so unheard. And it's like, oh, it's in your head. The labs are normal. You're fine. Da, 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 da. We're told that so often. I went on this quest for the last 8 years. I didn't pursue my MD. I created my own degree and have sorted through the information and the research and these things. And when I found medical medium information, it was just this like resonance of truth of like, whoa, I healed symptoms that I had not been able to heal. And I was doing what the doctors told me to do to heal, and I was getting worse. And I was like, what's going on here? They wanted to give me the prescription medication and the synthetic hormones to heal, and not heal because they were saying, well, you just have to learn to manage the symptoms. And we're told, well, this is just how it is. And we've learned to accept things as it is. And we have such low standards for health in this world that people have lived with symptoms for their entire lives and don't know anything different. So then we just acclimate to that subpar threshold for health and don't even know there's another level. And that as we start to heal and unlock the next level, it's like, boom, next level, next level. Okay, more health, more energy, more purpose, more power, more leadership, more influence. It's this whole domino effect, the ripple effect.
Yes, I love this. Pardon me. I find the medical medium, well,
Anthony William. Yeah.
Anthony Williams. Sorry,
Yes. No,
Anthony
you're perfect.
Williams, medical medium. I explored his concepts just because
Yep.
I just really don't follow mainstream medical
No.
advice. I can't. And so I was exploring his world, reading his books, and I'm also very open spiritually. The way that he explains things and how he
Mm-hmm.
receives the information. It didn't freak me out. It didn't cause me to
No.
go, oh, but that's not blah blah blah. But I know that a lot of people have heard of medical medium, and they hear about how he receives information and things like that, and they're like, oh, that just sounds ridiculous. And so I actually want to
Yeah.
touch in on that a little bit, because the way I saw it and the way that I explained it to my very logical, not very spiritual husband, is that he's literally got millions of people that have gone through his protocols and have experienced these sorts of results. So he's got the results to back it up.
The evidence is there. It's just
Yep.
not the scientific evidence that everyone has been trained to trust.
Mm.
And as someone who worked in research, I worked at this lab here in New Mexico, Los Alamos National Laboratory, for a number of years. And as I began to see the rigorous scientific method and these things tested in such a way, it's like light can be a particle or a photon, depending on the observer. So we
I,
have the power to influence the results and the data. And medical medium actually talks a lot about this, like weaponized medical research and data. And I started to really follow the funding sources for these research studies. Because when you look at the funding sources, well, of course, they're going to have a bias and an invested interest in the outcome. So the industry, and one of my mentors in the wellness, he's a doctor that wrote this book and termed it the disease care system. And I totally resonated because I had so many doctors that were like, no, you're just a medication manager. Like, if I had to do over, I wouldn't do this. You're about to apply, or you're about to attend medical school, put the brakes on, put it on hold. Think about it. There's another way. Like, I wouldn't do this again. I had so many doctors tell me this. And I was like, what is going on? Why are we not talking about the Hippocratic statement of let thy food be thy medicine and medicine thy food? We're focused on first do no harm, but so much of what we're doing is harm. Like with my mom, she almost died 2 years ago because of iatrogenic illness, which is the third leading cause of death. And that's death caused by medical intervention or error. And so few people are aware of that. And I wrote a post in an email like 6 months ago, again, when she was on the edge. And I was like, they almost killed my mom. And people were up in arms because we've been conditioned to believe that the medical system will save us and will heal us. However, for acute cases and emergency situations, it's amazing. But for chronic disease and illness and for long-term health span, what are we doing? We have this lifespan. We're not talking about health span. So there are so many directions we can go with this, but I feel like for those who feel skeptical, and I know for me, when I first, a colleague who actually did pursue naturopathic medicine, she's the one who shared medical medium with me like 7 years ago. And I remember reading the book, and my scientific brain that needs the evidence and needs that proof was like, no, this can't be real. But then I just started reading and I felt something in my body. And I always had that deep connection, especially as a generator with a sacral authority, feeling that sacral yes and that voice of my soul saying yes, yes. So I followed the protocols, and I didn't have the evidence because when I was looking for research, finding ways to heal, my hormonal imbalance and the amenorrhea, I lost my period for 3 years. I stopped ovulating for 3 years. You know, I had no libido, severe adrenal fatigue, and I was doing everything they told me, high fat, high protein diet, and do this. And my hair was getting thinner. My nails were so brittle, and my fatigue was so cumbersome. I was like, what's going on? So I then just went on my own experiment, and it's the evidence that I needed. I was like, I don't care what those research papers say. I'm living evidence. Like, you see these millions of people healed. What are we seeing in the medical system? Like, we don't see that same proof of concept.
Nope, we don't.
That's Exactly. And that to me speaks volumes. And we have to understand how things have been portrayed and how the media has been portraying these studies. And now you look at lupus finally coming out. The institute doing research on lupus was revealing, oh, it's linked to Epstein-Barr virus, which is information that a medical medium already shared. And so it's like science and spirituality. One reason I didn't go to medical school is because we weren't talking about the spirituality. We weren't talking about soul. We weren't talking about the spirit and the essence of who we are and this greater power than us. We were so much focused on the science, but spirituality has already shown all these things. And now the science is finally accelerating enough to be able to prove some of these things that have been known. But it's like we want to see it or we want evidence before we believe something. But it's like believe it, and then that's what creates the evidence. Because Einstein says, like, if you believe you live in a kind, beautiful, benevolent universe, you're right. But if you think you live in a really harsh, chaotic universe, you're right. The universe is the mirror that's going to show us what we're believing. And so the subconscious mind, whatever we're feeding it, and there's so much conditioning and so much propaganda and programming designed to keep us in that loop of feeling powerless and feeling like this is not possible to heal. And this is my diagnosis. I mean, I've had so many women feel like I did. What do I even do? I feel so disconnected from my body. I feel so much shame about my condition. I don't even know where to turn because I don't feel like I'm heard. And then we feel so much shame about what we're experiencing that we stay silent, and that secrecy then creates more separation. And instead of coming together and rising and healing together, we're feeling so alone and victimized.
Yeah. And then we don't feel comfortable speaking about our concerns or wanting to explore alternative options because people look at you like, what do you mean? Like, why aren't you trusting the doctors? They know best. It's like, do they though?
Right. Because there's a pill for that, Oh, and don't worry, like once the symptom's gone or it's silence, you will not know it's a problem anymore. But it's like, what happens when that secondary ailment arises? Oh, don't worry, there's a pill for that. I worked with an internal medical doctor, a doctor of internal medicine, when I was in high school. And he showed me an equation I'll never forget. It was 2n squared, where n is the number of medications one person is taking. And then you square that number. So on average, people are like on like 12, 14. I've seen people on a lot of medications. If you're on 12 medications, 10 medications, 10 squared is 100 times 200 possible interactions of these different drugs. And how's that impacting the liver, the primary organ of detoxification, and the adrenals, and hormonal balance, fertility?
I have no words. I don't like, if you look around and you witness just the people in your family, like the people closest to you, the 5 people closest to you, everyone's experiencing some form of symptoms, some more than others. And most people are seeking some sort of medical intervention or pharmaceutical. And the amount of people I know that take pharmaceuticals, and then I'm like, oh, how's this aspect of your health going? And they're like, oh, well, like the doctor gave me this medication and it's helping, but because of that medication, I'm now getting this other symptom because of the medication. I'm like, oh, okay, so then how are you helping that? Like, oh, well, they prescribed this other medication. I'm like, okay, but like, what was the cause of the original symptom? Like, why were you experiencing that? And how are you actually addressing the cause of the original symptom? Oh, well, I'm not. The doctor just gave me the medication to help with this. And I'm like, I can't. My brain is like, but what do you mean? Like you're playing with your health. Like you're risking it all based on a doctor that is paid to prescribe you pharmaceuticals. Like they're not there for your health. They're there to support the big pharma.
I know. And it's crazy. There's a book that comes to mind called The Anatomy of an Epidemic by Robert Whitaker. And he talks about, have you read it?
I haven't.
Okay.
I will.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The whole progression with children with ADD and ADHD diagnoses, and then how they're put on these different drugs, Adderall, Ritalin, and then how it escalates to more and more potent psychiatric drugs, and then can lead to schizophrenia and all these. It's like, well, if we knew that Rockefeller created what was it? There was a petroleum business, right? And then the petroleum byproduct, well, how can we make that profitable? Pharmaceuticals. Let's put this in the pharmaceuticals. So the pharmaceuticals have petroleum byproducts in there. They also have toxic heavy metals and synthetic other chemical ingredients. Like, why do we trust pharmaceuticals more than we trust plants and nature?
Follow the money.
I know, exactly. But it's like we're the ones labeled crazy or radical or extreme when we're starting to eat more plants, and it's more common to be medicated on medication than not, because we've been taught, oh, well, I need this medication for high blood pressure and it's helping my blood pressure. But it's like, well, do you understand the concept of that? Like lower sodium, lower fat, lower this. And then it comes to the body is so resilient. My mom's the best example of this. She literally has been on death's door multiple times and has come back to life. The body, when it's given what it needs, will heal. When it's not supported fully, it's going to continue to present with symptoms. Those are just codes that we get to decode.
Are you open to sharing, and is your mum open to sharing a little bit about her journey, just so people can get a real life
Absolutely.
experience or example
Yeah.
of what's possible?
Yes. And it's why I'm so passionate about women's health, because I mean, women, we've carried so much for so long, but you look at my mom and in my own health journey, and it's like we've walked so closely together. I mean, she had pregnancies before me and miscarriages before me. And then she almost lost me at 4.5 months in utero. And then she had my little brother, and he died during childbirth. He did a somersault and tied a knot in the umbilical cord. And then she had 2 more miscarriages. And I remember the death of my brother. I remember the miscarriages. And I was like, what the heck? This is not normal. And my greatest dream has been to be a mom. So that really impacted me. And I just never knew how that trauma would play out and be part of my purpose. But of course, always pain is what becomes our purpose, right? And now, after returning home to New Mexico and walking with her, and she's received these different diagnoses like um, scleroderma. She received a diagnosis for lupus, rheumatoid arthritis. She's been dealing with symptoms like Raynaud. It's Raynaud. Some people pronounce it Raynaud's. It's just that poor circulation, discoloration of the hands and feet with that. Sometimes they'll turn purple in the cold, and neurological symptoms that she's been dealing with. So she had fractures in her vertebrae. She's had severe scoliosis and a lot of that pain, but then there were fractures in her vertebrae. So walking was not really happening at all. And when she was in the hospital, she was just like, I'm in so much pain. Like, I just want to die. And you could just see, like, when someone decides, it's like, boom, you can see it. But it happened that she came home to live with me in my apartment in Santa Fe, New Mexico, because she lives an hour away from me normally. And for the last 6 months, I've been caregiving for her. We've been on a specific protocol with supplementation and certain foods to really accelerate the body's healing, antiviral protocol, because she had mono early on in her life and then had severe fatigue. And you look at the history of her symptoms and the pregnancies. And again, all of these symptoms are common, but they're not normal. At least every single person is dealing with one or more symptoms. And so as she began to rest, because she was living at home in a 2-story house alone, and was starting to push herself and like really try and care for herself as best she could, but she needed more of that period to rest. So she was severely constipated, severely nauseous. She lost her appetite. She came home with me. She was on medication to like help with that nausea, but then that medication constipated her. And then they were giving her a medication. They went and prescribed her this medication to densify her bones, but it was sourced from fish, and fish are a source of dioxins and mercury. Well, toxic heavy metals and like all these other things create acidity in the body and then weaken the bones and teeth. So the very thing they're telling her that will strengthen the bones was actually weakening it. So I never paid for that prescription. I left it there and I said, I'm going to speak with her doctor, and I left. And she's got her appetite back. The nausea went away. Constipation is gone. And then her energy levels started coming back. Her walk is so much better. She's been walking with a walker, and I was bathing her. Like, I was doing a lot, and now she's gotten way more independent. She's bathing herself. She's walking without a walker outside on this little path down and back and up and downstairs where she wasn't able to go very far at all. And now there's this radiance in her face, and her hair, her eyebrows have turned brown where she let her hair grow gray because she was dyeing it for some years, and then it's gone gray, but now the eyebrows have come back brown. So you can see this healing happening where her hair is thickening, and it's like these things that are just like, we're told it's part of aging and that's just normal. It's not. we've accepted it as the normal narrative, but until we question it, it remains the narrative. And we have to be brave enough and bold enough to question, because it's when we change our perspective and we question things that the narrative changes.
Critical thinking, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. A lot of people uncomfortable.
It does. It does. But then it's like when you wake up and you realize we've been lied to about so many things, and that our bodies are just born, like it's just the way it is. And there's this disease or this illness. It's like the bodies and the symptoms aren't a reflection of us and our manifestation. It's a reflection of the environment that we're living in, the chemtrails, all the things, the additives that they're putting in our foods. Like, this is not normal. And we've been told to avoid the very things and the very foods that help us heal, and told to eat the very things that perpetuate our symptoms.
It gets overwhelming and frustrating, because it's like, and then another thing, and then another thing, and then another thing to consider, and then another thing we've been lied to. And it's just like, you want to rage, right? But then as women, we're not allowed to rage. It's unladylike. And so you can't rage. You've got all these frustrations. You've been lied to. You've been made a fool. And then, like, of course we're sick, right? We're going to combust.
Well, and then you look at women who have had children, and during pregnancy, your immune system was lowered by 50%, sustained 50%. And then during birth, it was lowered by 90%. But in that one birth alone, you released more adrenaline than one woman will have released in her whole lifetime who has not had children. If you've had 2 children, 3, and our cycle takes it. And so it's like that immune system, that balance. It's like, we're so in tune with nature. We're so cyclical and so powerful. But you look at that matriarchal cultures, and then they suppress them. And now it's like the patriarch, and we see the imbalance, and we see it in the earth, and we see it in all of it. And our bodies are mirroring the imbalance.
Yes. And I find it interesting, because the more and more I'm leaning into matriarchy and researching matriarchy societies, and how can I actually establish matriarchal communities, and, what does that look like? The more I'm having these incredible conversations where, my guests are speaking to the imbalance of the patriarchy and the importance of matriarchy, and in the various ways, right? So you're coming at it from a beautiful health perspective, and then I've had other guests come at it from other different angles. And so it's just like this really beautiful unification of the importance of matriarchy.
Yes.
And dismantling the patriarchy. Yeah.
Well, and it's like, it's the matriarchal wave that creates this elevation of both the feminine and the masculine power. Because right now, the patriarchy, like, men feel powerful because it's like this false sense of power. But when a woman is embodied and empowered, and she feels good, and she's radiant, and she's healthy, it's like the man rises in a whole new way and is able to meet her in that power. It's when women are suppressed and we feel like the victims and we need the man to save us. It's this false sense of power that it creates for them. And then it creates this strange dynamic. It's not the most empowering form.
No. And I actually had one of my guests gave me the most amazing analogy of this concept that I just loved, because we talk about patriarchy, matriarchy. We talk about leadership and men in power, men in leading, and, what's a woman's place in terms of leadership and things like that. And she explained a wolf pack, and how you've got the alpha male that's leading the pack, but it's actually I'm not sure what she's referred to, but the alpha female. So that he's the partner of the alpha male, who actually holds him accountable, holds him to a higher standard, so that he can actually be a better leader. And so if she wasn't there, then his leadership would deteriorate, and, the pack would be experiencing less than stellar experiences. So that's what the matriarchy is. And a lot of people, a lot of men in their ego, get really offended or upset when we talk about women in power and leadership and matriarchy, because they're like, oh, you wouldn't be anything without men. It's like, we're not disregarding men. This isn't a man-hating society. It's actually bringing the two together and honoring the leadership aspects, right? And so as you're explaining that, I remembered the wolf pack analogy, and I'm like, I think women need to understand this more, because even in our own relationships, whether we're in partnership with someone or we're not, the men in our lives, right? It is still on us. It's our responsibility
Mhm.
to rise up as women and then set a
Yes.
higher standard for other women, but also set a higher standard for the men in our lives. And if you
Hmm.
look around, even just in fatherhood, in my experience of fatherhood, so growing up, my experience of fatherhood was very different, right? Men were very disconnected. They weren't interested. They were busy. They were trying to provide, and it was very disconnected. But if you look at fatherhood now, a lot of the fathers that are coming through, like my husband, but so many of the fathers that I'm seeing, they're so much more involved. Like, they're actually on the floor playing with their kids, they're engaging with their kids, they're taking their kids places, they're getting up, they're changing nappies, they're feeding kids. Like, they're involved in raising their children, not based off of what was modeled to them, but based off of a need of connection. Like, they grew up not having that connection, and they're like, I don't want to have that experience with my kids. And so, like, you can see that the change of what happens when matriarchy starts to rise, because me as
Yeah.
a woman, I'm like, I don't turn around and say, no, like, that's my job.
Hmm.
Yes,
No,
please get more involved. And
thank
also,
you.
while you're at it, can you also change her nappy? Because, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no hesitation. It's not like, oh, I know you're working and I know you're busy. It's like, no, you're their dad. Can you, like, not that I have to say that, because he does contribute so beautifully. And
That's
so,
amazing.
yeah. And so you can
Yeah.
see, like, there's a shift in how some of these men are really starting to step into their own form of, like, healthy leadership as opposed to
Yeah.
patriarchal leadership. And so there's just so many beautiful examples.
It's so powerful and it's so beautiful because, and also like speaking of women, when women take control of their health and reconnect to their bodies, they change the entire family because we are at that cornerstone of like how we're nourishing ourselves. We model for our children. And then as we start to feel better, our partner notices shifts because food is not just physical, it's energetic, emotional, mental, spiritual. It impacts us on all levels. So yes, you can eat something and then you'll feel physically constipated or bloated or whatever it is. But then you might feel the brain fog. You might feel energetically low energy and fatigue. You might feel emotionally angry and frustrated that you ate that food knowing, but it's like when we see health in this multidimensional way, and it's a gateway to our power because health is not the goal. It's the gateway, the
Mm.
gateway to more power, more radiance, more purpose, more potential, more fulfillment, more love. And when you hone in on your health, they all feel that shift because the food impacts us emotionally. And when we create that coherence within our bodies through the mindfulness and consciousness of intentional eating, it's just everything because food is meant to be honored. Our bodies are meant to be honored.
It's such a for me, because I've been on my own health journey, everything you're saying has such beautiful value. And I actually,
Yeah.
I know it, like, I know it, right? Everything you're saying is 100% truth.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I know that there are a lot of women listening thinking, well, that sounds lovely, but, like, I
Yeah.
don't have time for that, or I've got a family that I've got to cater to everyone's different needs, and now we're adding in extra layers, and right, we make it really complex. And so I
Right.
really want to speak to that, because I know you'll have some beautiful solutions for women to
Of
start
course.
implementing.
It's like one thing I want to offer is a reframe of I don't have time for that. It's like I don't have time not to do this because what you're saving now in terms of time or whatever will cost you later in your health. And see it as an investment. And these shifts that are made, it's like you have a picky eater or something, you feel like you're doing your family a service because you're investing in your health, which is not just good for you today, tomorrow, but in the future of your children, because we've normalized symptoms. And then it's like, well, this child can't eat this because of this. And so many of these foods that we're eating that are really healthy, but we have these reactions to them, we create negative associations with them. And so then we say, well, I can't eat that because of this. But it's like, what if that was a cleansing reaction because we have such a high toxic load or the certain pathogen or whatever it is, and that food is so incredibly powerful and cleansing that it created this uncomfortable, unpleasant sensation and symptom. And when we begin to understand that, it's like, oh, okay, so I don't have time not to do this, or I can't afford to do this. I can't afford not to do this because we have not been conditioned to believe that our health is our greatest asset, our greatest investment. We've not been taught to invest in our health because we want the cheapest, the fastest, easiest way. But it's like, how can we create a way of, okay, well, while you prep the food, while you do this, it's an investment now and later, and you can listen to a podcast, you can do this. And if you have a child with picky needs or a behavior issue, what if changing your lifestyle and eating this way is going to actually address the root and it reverses that symptom? Wouldn't it be worth it? How do you not afford to do that? So I think it's just like starting small and really clearly stating the intention. I know I've seen this a lot in women and in women close to me. Like they're dealing with symptoms, their partner is not willing to make changes to their diet. So then the woman just conforms to what the man wants, and they're the one cooking because they say they serve and cater to the man, but they're not honoring their health when the man is also experiencing symptoms, and her making that shift for her and advocating for herself would actually be good for the longevity of both of them, their health in the long run. And so seeing it in that light of like, okay, this might not be easy right now, but it's hardest at the beginning when something's new. It's hardest to start. But once you start to feel better and it compounds, it's like, how did I used to live like that before? We don't have the contrast. And so when we speak to women, we want to speak to the version of them who's like, yes, this is me. But if you had that access to her, you wouldn't even question it. You would just do it because it's such an aligned, natural way of being for you now. But at this point, you haven't had that evidence. So it's having that full faith and trusting yourself to say, no, there's something here, and just trust your body to feel what resonates and what's lighting you up. And what can we start with today? Lemon water, the easiest thing. You're already drinking water, just add lemon juice to it to make it more living and deeply hydrating at a cellular level. It's like, it doesn't have to be hard and complicated. Yeah, sorry.
No, you're right. No, that's why I love that you bring simplicity to the table, because women are really good with excuses. And whilst I do honor that we are living in a very stressful, very busy environment, I'm also at a point where I'm kind of tired of like coddling women and being like, I know you're really stressed. I know you're really busy. I know you're overwhelmed. I know you got a lot on your plate. And like, let's start small. Like I'm at the point where I'm like, actually, if we're actually going to shift into matriarchal principles, like I need you to rise up. I'm going to set the bar higher. I'm going to raise the standards, and you either rise up and experience all these incredible results or suffer the consequences. And I'm not even softening, right? It's like suffer the consequences of your choices and your actions, knowing that if you don't make changes, your children are going to suffer the consequences of your choices and your actions, and you are going to actually impact their health and their future in terrible ways, because once you know better, you have to do better.
Yes. And it's awareness. It's awareness.
Right. Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like, well, it's like the analogy of I want to be flexible, but I can't do yoga. Well, the whole point of yoga is to become flexible. It's like you feel so stressed, you feel so overwhelmed, you feel so unwell, you're not sleeping well, but I can't add one more thing. I can't focus on my health because, well, it has to be later. And it's like when you focus in on your health and you take 5 minutes to make that smoothie or whatever it is, or drink that water, it's like, actually, that's going to help with the overwhelm. It's going to calm your nerves. It's good. There are so many energetic and emotional, mental properties of foods that help us with our nerves and our resilience.
Absolutely. And I always feel like if you give it, because it is uncomfortable. No matter what, it's uncomfortable when you initiate and when you start these practices, it's uncomfortable. And so if you give it 30 days, if you give it 60 days, right? If you can say to yourself, yeah.
Because you've been doing it with your Radiant Health Challenge. Radiance, like what day are you on?
Radiant Health Reset. Well,
Radiant Health Reset.
I've hit 6 months now, but for those, when I first started, it was a 90-day health reset. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm just going to go all in on 90 days. And the way that she set out the protocol, it was trickled in. So bit by bit making adjustments. So it wasn't overwhelming. And then by the end of the 90 days, it was like, oh, I can do this.
I can do this. And I will do this because I am. Because I'm worth it and I matter.
Yeah.
Because our health is the greatest wealth. And our health is the path to wealth. But so often we compromise our health to attain wealth. And then once we have the wealth, we don't have our health. So then we spend our wealth trying to regain our health. And it's like, let's build them both together.
I love that.
It's crazy. It's like the earth and like nature is so abundant. And we live in this world that has taught us to hustle, to disconnect from our true rhythms and our nature. And we're recording this on the equinox, fall equinox in the southern hemisphere and spring equinox in the northern hemisphere. The timing couldn't be more aligned because I personally have never resonated with New Year's in middle of winter here in the northern hemisphere. January 1, what is this? Doesn't feel biologically correct. You look at the calendar, Gregorian calendar shifted. October is now the 10th month when Oct means 8. What's happening? They're disrupted our biology and our natural connection to nature and the rhythms. And then the more disconnected we get from ourselves, the more disconnected we get from our power. And so it's time for us to rise embodied and empowered.
Yeah. Even if you look at the 28-day cycle, right? I've been here, like we're exploring this so much in terms
I know.
It should be a 13-month year. It should be a 28-day cycle for women. And I'm just like, oh my gosh.
What happened?
What happened? It makes so much more sense because it's a patriarchal society at the moment.
And everything is shifting. And it's like, and when people feel uncomfortable, where I'm going back to what you were saying, like, oh, it's hard to change or it feels uncomfortable. That's a sign of growth. So often we see that as a red flag. And this is what I see too with health. It's like we start to do something and we have this cleansing reaction. And it's like, oh, we see it as a sign to stop. But it's like that discomfort, that edge, that fear is the sign to keep going. It's the green light. Fear is designed to help us grow and expand, and it shows us where to go next. Fear can mean fear everything and run, or face everything and rise. What are we choosing?
I love that. I love that. Yeah, face everything and rise. That's literally where we need to be right now and forevermore. Nothing changes if nothing changes, right? Like if we don't,
and nothing will change. Yes,
nothing will change.
No, you can't solve a problem or create what you desire with the same level of consciousness you're operating in right now. It's like we see this all the time. We say we want radiant health. We say we want that body. We say we want that relationship. But the actions we're taking are in direct opposition. It's like we're trying to put out a fire, but we're pouring gasoline on the flames. Tell me how that works.
I love us. Like when I zoom out as a spirit, right, as a soul, and I'm like observing human behavior, I love us. I think we're adorable, and
We are,
because we're behaving in a way that we've been conditioned and trained to behave. And so there's I have so much love for us, but then when I come into my human body, and because I know what it takes to have critical thinking, I know what it takes to make changes, I know what it takes to have important conversations, it's uncomfortable and I'm doing it. And so I'm like, if I can do it, you can do it too. And so the love I have kind of changes, morphs into something a little bit different. I do still have so much love for how we do our thing, because gosh, we're adorable. We're really adorable. And
we are.
I love something that you said before, which was that health is the gateway. It's not the goal. And I was like, that's so true, because for so many of us, we're chasing this ideal or idea of health, but our idea of health is like being skinny and being, in quotes, fit or presentable, right? It's like, it's not even health. Our goal of health is not actually health. It's just, it's a visual.
It is. And it takes me back to what our mentor, Melanie Ann Layer, said. It's not about what it looks, it's about how it feels.
Yeah.
And it's like we focus so much on the external of having the things of looking this way. And then it's like, it feels like it's never good enough because we get caught in the chasing of the objective and the outcome, but we're not focused on the process. We're not process oriented. And that's why when health is a goal, it feels like something to just check off, but health is a garden that needs tending, and you're going to see the fruits of your time and effort and labor through what you're experiencing. And it's like, okay, we're not happy with our health now. Well, it's not a mirror of what we're doing today. It's a reflection of the past 6, 12, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. It's not just this, oh, okay, I want to be healthy, that like it should happen now. And then we get on this health journey and we're like, well, if it hasn't happened by now, it's probably not going to happen. And then there's the whole genetics piece, which I feel like people have become, what is the word I would love to use here? Because it's delicate. It's like we've begun to use genetics as the excuse. Well, it's just how it is. It's just how it is. It's just the way it is. There's nothing I can do. My mom had it. My parents had it. This is just how it was. And it's like, actually, very few things are genetic. It's epigenetic, environment.
Correct.
Nurture versus nature. What is it? It's us influencing, and we forget our power. We forget, like, oh, our actions, our choices in food, and choices in sleep and habits compound over time. It's just we don't see that result until later. And so it's like we'll go to the gym and we expect to be so strong the first day and we feel so weak, but it's like through that pain that we create the strength, right? So it's a journey, and we have to start to see it as that instead of one and done and not giving more intention and care to it, because it's a process over time and you're going to unlock another level and another level. And the body is so intelligent that sometimes what I see with women is when they come to me, it's like, oh, I'm going to lose weight. I want to focus on this. And it's like, great. But we are also dealing with autoimmune conditions and this and that. And so the body's going to triage. And the weight is actually a protective mechanism. It's just like, oh, the body has some toxicity. There's something in there. So we're going to keep a little bit of fluid to dilute the lymphatic system and the fluid there to protect the other organs. It's not your forever point. It's just like the body is going to prioritize the deeper roots of healing before focusing on those other key areas that we're so focused on and we think are most important. And now we see the GLP-1 craze where people are pursuing that instead of putting in the time and effort to create radiant health, because we don't have the long-term data on that. And so many of these trends out there, I'm going on a whole rant here, but so many of the trends out there, okay, these trends are claimed to be healthy. And I was doing all these things like, oh, I'm healthy and I'm doing this now. And what's going on? Like apple cider vinegar or this or that, whatever it is. It's like, we're taught that these things are healthy, but then what is the data? The data is short-term studies, and most of the studies have been performed on white male bodies, candidates, and it's not considering the female physiology, and you don't have the longitudinal studies. So we're seeing this whole craze of like, I want results now. It's this instantaneous world. We have AI, we have ChatGPT, all these different AI platforms that create massive output in minimal effort and time. And it's like the part of the human experience is to embrace patience, embrace the process, embrace your presence in the journey.
Yes, it is. And you know, I get triggered by it a lot. The GLP-1, the Ozempic and things like that, because over the years, it's always been a conversation between my husband and I, because I've been battling, you could say, or I've been trying to figure out my own health journey and my own weight. I carry a lot of weight, and I know that it's based off of a lot of trauma, and I know it's my body's protective mechanism. And so I've been trying to figure out how to reduce the weight, and I've tried all the things. And then I've, even when I went to a medical professional, my local GP, and I was like, I need to lose weight, like, but I'm struggling. The first thing they recommended was injections and then weight loss surgery. And I'm like, okay, but like, before we get to that, can we like try something else? But I've always been trying to do it the right way. And then I'm always surrounded by people who are choosing surgery or they're choosing injections. And I guess there are some situations where it's life-threatening. And so maybe they need to have those things. But I feel like most of us do it because it's quick, it's easy, and we feel like we've tried everything else and it's still not working. So, hey, I'll just do the thing. But I get triggered and I get really upset and I get frustrated because I'm like, my results are so slow because I'm healing the layers underneath what's causing the excess weight. And so I'm like, oh, I'm visually not getting what I want. And then I'm seeing these people that are dropping like kilos and pounds. And I'm like, it's just like, it plays with your head.
It does play with your head, but you're also not seeing them after they come off of it and the weight comes back 4 times more.
Yeah.
You're not seeing the other health implications. You're not seeing the fatigues. And when we lose weight and it's, that weight, the body can, it's everybody's unique, right? But when we start to do it in a way that's not honoring the physiology of the body, the body's not getting, we don't see the sagging skin. We see like this petite figure under the clothes, but what else? What do we not see? Like the nights that they're not sleeping well, or that these different things, their stomachs are not their whole system is off balance. And so we then go over here and it's like, okay, but it's like a giant oak, doesn't become the oak overnight. If it's like, okay, we have this like tree that grew overnight, it would be flimsy and fall and break quite quickly. And that's what I feel like GLP-1 is. It's this temporary fix of long-term challenges and costs. But now we're doing it in a way that honors the body, the physiology, and we get to support the body with the skin-loving foods, the foods that bring more collagen back, that bring more elasticity, that help the body tone and understand like, oh, okay, we get to support the body naturally and the body just will resiliently come back. But it is going to require a little bit more time and patience. And how can I learn to love the process instead of get so, I get it. I get it. We want it now and we see the comparison, but we're not seeing the behind the scenes too of their
Yes.
journeys and
Yeah.
all the health implications that it's going to have. I mean, it's frightening. And there are so many, like, I honor your way. I know it can be so frustrating, but those other people who are on it right now are going to come to you and say, you've done it the safe and the right way.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's
the
holding
long
the
way.
vision. And
But
so, yes.
holding the vision. That's right. And I'm also modeling to my girls what's really important around health. So
Yeah, exactly.
they've been great.
And yes, and you've had 2 babies. You have a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old. That pregnancy, it's a lot on the body, and so it's bringing your body back. But then it's like you're still carrying so much. So see the woman that you are. Like, wow, my body has birthed 2 incredible babies, and my body is healing. My body is protecting me. My body is so strong and so resilient. And Dr. Masaru Emoto, his work with the water crystals.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so something I love to talk about with wellness architecture is we're coding, right? We're coding with the food, we're coding with our choices, but also the words. How are we speaking about our health? I even heard you say, I'm battling, like even using that word. What's the frequency of battling? Like fighting and ugh. And then it's just like the body's like, oh, you want to battle? Okay, it's like that resistance that it conjures. So my invitation is like, what is the frequency of the words we're choosing to use? How are we speaking about ourselves and our health and our journey and all these things that I've been seeing in myself? It's like, whoa, okay, what am I experiencing? Because what we expect, we experience. So if we expect that it'll be a battle, it will be a battle. But it's like, I love that this has happened with these, and we can start to manifest by speaking in the past tense of, I love how my body has healed. And then it's just like, oh, and I love how, it's just things shift as we shift. And then it's like the frequency of the words. Dr. Masaru Emoto captured water in its crystal form when it's exposed to different frequencies. And so there's a frequency of fear and hate that created this incoherent structure in the crystal versus love and gratitude. And so thank you, body. I love you, because your body is around 70% water and the body's responding to our thoughts and our feelings. And despite what we think and what the mind might come in and like say you're not healing or it's not going to work for you, or it's like, I've tried everything, this isn't going to work. That's not true. That is not true at all. Your body is always, always, always striving for healing and balance, and to know that it's healing, even in the moments where you doubt, it's just like, thank you, angel of faith, for giving me this faith, the strength and the faith to hold this vision, because you're not alone and you're so much more than just flesh and bones. You're 99% space.
Right. Yeah.
Your energy. And it's just like, okay, what is the energy? And we're all shifting. And then it's like, we're eating differently too. And Dr. Zach Bush, who I love, talks about eating more sunlight, like eating more plants because they contain the highest pigmentation and the highest quality and quantity of sunlight. And as we eat of the light, we become lighter and freer in our thoughts, in our form.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
actually a really beautiful way to reconnect with ourselves, because I feel like we all speak so harshly of ourselves. Even,
Oh, I know.
I've been on a journey for over a year of self-love and devotion and, working through my trauma and really releasing shame, and I've had so many
Mm,
beautiful experiences. And then there's still this element of battling, which, when you spoke to that, I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. Of course it feels like a battle because I'm speaking to it like it is a battle rather than
right.
speaking to it like
Right.
it's a vision and a journey and an honor.
Exactly. And even like you can get into body coding and bring your hand with left hand to your belly button and just, if you want to close your eyes here, you can,
Hmm.
and say, body, show me what it feels like to love you.
That's beautiful. Buddy, show me what it
And
feels
breathe.
like to love you.
And then take a deep, full breath. So you already know what battle feels like.
Mhm.
You already know what fight and fear and all of that. And that's the matrix that wants to keep us there with the body and the battle. Because then when we're in that, we're ensnared in the fear, and it's like the fear and the doubt that it's not going to work for me, and and then we get more and more entangled in that, and more disconnected from our power. Of like, hey, that's not me. And what do I choose? And it's like, body, show me that you are healing. Show me how powerful you are. You can just code that into your existence and then remember, oh my goodness. Because you didn't create, like, this is a whole other topic, but like what we create and what we manifest, it's like life gives us things and we are exposed to different influences and environmental factors. So it's not your fault. It's not like you did something wrong and you just don't have it. And like weight is never about being lazy. It's never about doing something wrong. It's never about that you can't have it or you're not good enough. It's not. It's liver. It's like, okay, what does the body need? What is here? What's here? And knowing that the body is so resilient, it can heal, it can strengthen. It is.
Mm. Thank you for that.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
women needed to hear that. And
A
that
lot.
reminder as well that everything is pretty much comes back to the liver. And so if you want to
Liver.
start somewhere, start with lemon water. And also,
Yes.
you can follow Anna and get some other ideas and tips, or
Yeah.
you can research other ways to support the liver. Or if they're wanting to actually deepen this work and work with you,
Mhm.
what are some of the ways that women can work with you?
Yes. So my signature offer is Radiance. And it's a 3 month journey together where we're diving into the foundation of your body blueprints and curating a unique wellness plan and lifestyle design to honor and align with your body, your wellness goals, your human design. Really, for us, the journey of health is such a journey of personal growth and evolution. So I honor that. And we look at so many different facets, but really understanding what the body needs to heal. And there are different tiers. So if you want a few calls, 2 sessions a month, there's an option to do that. If you want, it's curated to you and your desires. But I really love having that 3 month period because it's been said that science has said, who knows how accurate this is, but it takes about 66 days to instill a new habit. And so I like having the 90 days to have that deeper support because when we have a breakthrough, it's like, oh my God, okay, I'm going to go implement. But then what if we don't have that consistency? And then I'm with you every step of the way. We walk together on this journey to wealth and health, which is your greatest wealth. And if you want to start with a body blueprint breakthrough session, that's you can start there and build that foundation. And then that can be applied to a credit if you want a curated wellness plan with me too. So whatever feels right for you, be an honor to walk with you and lead you on this journey because as you heal, you rise. And when you heal and rise, you inspire another woman to heal and rise. And it's together we heal, together we grow, together we rise.
Absolutely. And also you model to the younger generations, especially your kids, if you have them,
Mhm.
what real health and wealth looks like. And it's so
Yes,
important for where we're heading.
exactly. And not just what it looks like, but what it is.
Exactly. Yes.
It's
And
like
as
feel the
someone who's,
framework.
yes, and someone who's been on a journey, I can promise you, your family does follow suit. You don't have to
Yes.
push it. You don't have to force it. You just focus on you and they will follow. And all of a sudden, your whole family will be experiencing beautiful health and making
Yeah.
radical decisions like, because we're coming into Easter and we've made the
Right.
decision that we don't actually want to buy chocolates for anyone because it doesn't align with our new values. And so we're trying to find ways of creating gifts without chocolates. So, you know,
Beautiful.
everything shifts.
Everything shifts and it begins with us. Our world, our life, our health shifts when we shift.
Yes.
And you're doing so beautifully. You're doing so beautifully. And it's just having that conversation and advocating for yourself, saying, you know, I love you, I honor you. And I've been feeling this way about my health and my body. And I really would like to refine some things. And I would ask that you be open to what I'm experimenting because I'm on this health journey and I know it's good for me and it's going to be good for our family. And would love your support along the way, even if it doesn't make sense for you. But also know that female reproductive health and female health in general, because of our reproductive cycle, is so different than male health. So males have a stronger immune system. They're more resilient to these things because they're not going through these ebbs and flows. And so when we have that, it can feel like we're being gaslit. Like I've been gaslit so many times. Like I was told, oh, you're the picture of health when I was in the midst of my most challenging health crisis, you know, and we just don't understand. The males don't understand it. So it's really about educating them, you know, to really become more empowered. It's like through the education and embodiment of it and say, you know, this isn't just for me, it's for us, but I would really love your support. And I know you don't understand it and I don't need you to understand it. I would just love for you to be open and honor that. And it just creates that opening instead of saying, well, I can't do it because of them. And we're afraid of what they'll resist or project on us. You know, everyone has a food story. Everyone has this confusion around food of like what's healthy in this. And anytime we start to make a change, it triggers them and then they project onto us. And then we start to feel small, feel bad, but it has nothing to do with us. Remember that agreement in the 4 agreements of first, take nothing personally?
Yes, I do.
We have to remember that. And especially now, like I feel like now more than ever, women, it's disproportional how many women are experiencing symptoms and chronic illness and different conditions. But we were chosen for this time. And our health is the gateway to so much more. It's the gateway to our soul evolution. I believe that we're being called to rise and lead, and more people are experiencing these health challenges. And so the fact that we're experiencing them isn't something to be like, oh, like I got really into victim and like I can't do this and radiant health is impossible, all of that. It's like, oh, there's something going on and I'm a canary in a coal mine, meaning I sense it before others and we're leaders. So we're on that leading edge. We're on our health journey first so that we can then empower others when they have their health journey upon them. So
Yes.
this is an honor, even though it doesn't feel like an honor and it feels like a hardship. Know that it's like these challenges catalyze our growth. These wounds become wisdom and you are growing and rising. Even if it feels like you're falling, you're becoming so much stronger and becoming who you're meant to be through it all.
Mm. I really needed to hear that. So thank you.
Thank you. This
Thank you.
has been everything. I loved this conversation. Thank you for your love and your leadership and your genius.
Thank you. Likewise, I'm
Yeah.
so ready for women to receive your work, receive your wisdom, and to experience radiant health.
Yes. Because radiant health, it's possible. It's like I used to feel like radiant health was impossible. And now in my world, it's inevitable. Because when we understand the body and we recode the body, radiance is just a way of being. And it's not just radiant physical health, it's radiance from the soul, that inner glow.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love this so much. Thank you so much, Anna. I really, really
Thank you.
appreciate this conversation. And I feel like we could go on and on and on. And, you know, maybe there's a part 2 coming up in the future, but because I feel like we've only scratched the surface of very important
Totally.
conversations.
Yes. Well, it's my honor and thank you. And I'm just so grateful that our paths crossed and connected. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, lovely. All right, ladies, let's get started. Thank you for being here, gorgeous woman, for rising with us, remembering with us, and refusing to shrink inside a world that benefits from your silence. If this episode moved you, cracked you open, or reminded you of who the hell you are becoming, share it with a woman who is ready to rise too. I want to invite you to follow, subscribe, and leave a rating so this message becomes too loud, too wild, and too undeniable to be ignored. The movement grows because of women like you. Women who choose truth over comfort, liberation over obedience, and voice over disappearance. You can connect with me, Samantha Sanford, at Rebel Matriarch, and all links to our guest are in the show notes below. Until next time, stay rooted, stay rebellious, And remember, the world changes when women refuse to disappear.